Hey there, Nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to the episode of Way of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode, we're doing something a little bit different today because we're discussing playing a Merchant Guild alliance with the Air Guild. Now, the Air Guild does not technically speaking exist in an official capacity for Games Workshop, but it is mentioned by name from the Book of Peril, which actually introduced us to the Guild Alliance system, and I thought it was actually a pretty interesting gang, and I thought they had some really cool, interesting things going on with the Air Guild, so I decided to actually make up my own rule set, my unofficial rules, but some homemade rules all together. So in this video, we'll discuss their benefits, their drawbacks, their guild rules, their delegation rules, and provide critical information that you can use in your very first campaign of Necromunda. And as always, I do have timestamps in the description box down below, so that way you guys can click and navigate to the part of the video that you want to actually take a look at. So that being said, let's talk about Mercator, Temperium, also known as the Air Guild. It is mentioned in the Book of Peril, like I said before, and the narrative is actually quite short with only 2 paragraphs in length, but there is no official rules about actually making an alliance with that gang or with that alliance system. So I decided to change that. I decided to actually make my own rule set. I actually made my own guild alliance rules for the Air Guild with its benefits and associated drawbacks, as well as its own delegation and the individual fighters that make up that delegation as well. And like I said, it is unofficial because it is a homebrewed rule system, but in my opinion, though, I thought I did a pretty good job with the balance as well as making it fair. So I decided to put that out here in the world of YouTube, so that way if you want to use the Air Guild in your campaigns in Necromunda, you may do so. And of course, I do have the description. I do have the rules for that delegation in my description box. It takes directly to my blogger site that shows you where the rules are actually published at. I thought it would be a fun way to spice up games in Necromunda and make things a little bit more interesting. So if you're interested in using the Air Guild, go ahead and follow along with us as we talk about this brand new alliance for your gang. So first of all, let's go and talk about the Alliance's overview real quick. You will have access to gas weapons with this Alliance, so if you are looking at a gang wants to use gas weapons like Nightshade Chem Throwers and things of that nature, you'll be able to get access to those, so that part will be kind of nice as well. Plus, this Alliance also gives you access to a brand new exotic beast that I created called the Zeph. The Zeph is actually mentioned in the lore of the Air Guild in the Book of Peril, so I actually made rules for those creatures as well. I also made my own set of benefits and drawbacks as well, and of course, it can be made into an outcast gang, so I do have the credit values for all the fighters of the delegation, so that way you can actually make an outcast gang of this group if you wanted to. And just an extra reminder, this is a word of caution. It is unofficial in every way, these rules. They are actually not linked to Games Workshop or Necromunda in any official capacity. These are rules I just made up for myself. So as always, if you want to use these rules, check with your arbitrator first to see if they'll actually allow you to do so. If they do, then awesome. If not, then it's completely understandable as well. And of course, if you do like what you see here, please let me know in the description box down below, so that way if you have any cool ideas of some rules you want me to make that haven't been made yet, I'll be more than happy to do so for you guys and maybe make a video out of it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the background narrative, the lore of Mercator Temperium, and we're going to actually quote this from the Book of Peril. Alright, so let's learn more about the background narrative of Mercator Temperium, the Air Guild. To quote from the Book of the Peril, the Air Guild controls the flow of breathable air through the hives of Necromunda. Within the iron current mountains of the hives where air pools and stagnates in domes, passages and caverns, and the air beyond the skin of the hive, threaded as it is with toxins and pollutants, the guild holds the threads of life itself. Every turbine and every ventilation shaft, air refiner, and smoke vent is controlled by the guild, either directly or by the cut they take from those that run them. By their command, entire sectors of the hives can choke, freeze, or die slowly from breathing tainted air. Agents of the Air Guild often carry small, mini-mouthed beasts known as Zephs with them. These vicious little creatures are drawn to fresh air, squeaking and growing when they find a pure vein of oxygen. When a Zeph finds a good source of air, it grows in size, the air sacs and its muscles swelling until it becomes a floating monstrosity. The Air Guild enjoys the irony of having air thieves torn apart by the packs of Zephs, the creatures growing massive on stolen oxygen. And that, my friends, makes up the background narrative of Mercator Temperium. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the rules for this guild alliance. Alright, so here we are on my desktop computer, so let's talk about the Air Guild rules real quick. And as always, I do have the description box down below. I do have the link to my blogger.com site, so that way you can actually look at these rules and download them for yourself. So it reads, the Air Guild. The Air Guild controls the flow of breathable air through the hives of Necromunda. The guild holds the threads of life itself and can command entire sections of the hives. Now the benefit for this one, we have what's called Aero Merchants. It means all weapons with the gas trait can be purchased by the Air Guild, regardless of rarity or restrictions. In addition, all gas weapons also gain the plentiful trait, replacing any previous ammunition-related traits. So this is great for using for things like gas shields for shotguns, for example, or using choke gas grenades or smoke grenades, things of that nature. So long as it has the gas weapons trait attached to it, basically the ammunition becomes plentiful, and you can also purchase it as well. So if you're a big fan of the Escher Night Kim Shade Thrower, for example, you could actually get that for yourself and actually use that for your gangs as well. Now the other benefit you get, of course, is what's called the Aethermatic Rigging Crew, which is the delegation from this gang. It says while the gang is allied with the Air Guild in the pre-battle sequence, then the gang may attempt to add guild representatives, see page 33 from the Book of Peril, in the form of an Aethermatic Rigging Crew, see below, to their gang for the battle ahead. Roll a d6 and add the gang's current reputation. If the total is 10 or below, the Aethermatic Rigging Crew deigns to aid their allies on the battlefield. If the total is 11 or more, the guild has decided that the gang can cope alone. This group of fighters does not cost a gang allied with the Air Guild any credits to hire, but if chosen, they must be included in the gang's crew, even if crew selection is normally random. If, however, the gang is deploying the looters, smash and grab, caravan heist, or escort mission scenario, and as the defender, see the guard duty below, then an Aethermatic Rigging Crew must be included. Roll a d6 and add the gang's current reputation. If the total is 10 or below, the gang is glad of this aid. If the total is 11 or more, the gang is unhappy about this force interference and they must test the alliance. Drawbacks. Guard duty. During the pre-battle sequence, if the gang has the option for choosing the scenario to be played, roll a d6. On a 1, 2, or 3, the gang must choose looters, smash and grab, caravan heist, or escort mission and take on the role of the defender. On a 4+, they can choose any scenario as normal. Alternatively, instead of making this role, the gang can choose to play any scenarios, but if they do so, they must test the alliance. Premium Air. This is the other drawback that is unique for this guild alliance. It says during the post-battle sequence, if the gang gained any credits as a scenario reward, the gang must give up a portion of this to their guild allies. The gang must give D3 times 10 credits to the guild. If the amount rolled is greater than the amount gained, the gang must give the full amount gained to the allies, and the alliance is automatically tested. Alternatively, the gang can choose to keep all of its rewards, but if they do so, they must test the alliance. And that pretty much makes up the benefits and guild rules for the Air Guild, or Mercator Temperium, that you could use in your games of Necromunda. Alright, so let's talk about Mercator Temperium with the Aethermatic Rigging Crew, which is the delegation that I created for this rule set. And of course, this group is actually rated at 485 credits. So if you plan on making an outcast gang out of this group, or if you're looking for some balancing mechanics, that is the credit cost that I've actually associated with this organization as well. And of course, just like with all guild delegations, I do have guild procurators, which are the leaders of the delegation. I also have guild factotums, which are the champions of the delegation. And of course, I have bodyguards, which are the fighters of the delegation. So that being said, let's go and talk about our very first fighter. Up first is the Zepherman. These guys are the guild procurators, which are the leaders of the guild as well. They cost 135 credits. So let's talk about them a little bit. So from the background narrative of the from the Book of Peril about the Air Guild, the Zephermen are the guys who are actually walking around measuring the gauges, checking out the airflow, air pressure, that kind of thing. They're also the guys who are responsible for interrogating and also punishing air thieves. So these guys are actually kind of like beast handlers in a certain sense, because the little Zephyr creatures that we talked about earlier in the background narrative, they tear apart and they eat auction thieves. So because I based this guy's stats on the Outlander Beastmaster, because I thought that was actually the best way to kind of go about creating this character. So this character's got a 5-inch movement allowance, as well as 4+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 3+ initiative. They also have 1 attack. They have 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 8 intelligence, which is directly the same as the Outland Beastmaster stats. Now this character, of course, is equipped with a hazard suit. I figured that was actually a good set of armor, narrative speaking, because these guys, if they go to ventilation shaft and go into areas with contaminated air, they may or may not have access to air while they go out there. So imagine these guys in like pressurized suits going out there doing their jobs. He's also packing a sawed-off shotgun with solid as well as scatter ammo as well, because that's what the Beastmaster actually comes with. Same thing with a shock stave, just because you have to use those things on the little Zephs that he actually has with him as well. He's also got a respirator to represent the fact that he deals with air quality as well as air control. He's also got the catfall skill as part of his skill set, so that way he can actually drop down from ledges without having to take initiative tests. And he also has the Overseer skill, because every guild pure creator in the Alliance system actually has that. Now the Zepherman also has a direct relations with the Zeph, which is the exotic beast that's in this delegation, but we'll talk about that later on as we go through the video. So up next is the champion of the delegation called the Aero-Loader, which is a guild factotum, which is the champion for this group. This guy costs 190 credits. Now, to be fair, I based this guy off of the Shackleman from the Slaver Guild Entourage. I decided to kind of use his stats, and that's where I got my inspiration for this guy's rules as well. Pretty much this guy's whole job is to actually go about working on the various areas that the Air Guild works at. He does things like lasso in cargo and move it around so that way it gets onto the vehicles like it needs to as well. He also has a harpoon launcher so that way he can rocket through air vents and check on things and that kind of nature. It's pretty much what he's designed to do. So like I said before, he costs 190 credits, and let's go talk about his stats real quick. He's got movement 5 inches, weapon skill 4+, plus skill 5+. He's got 3 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, 8+ for leadership, 7+ for cool, 7+ for willpower, as well as 8+ for intelligence. So like I said, this guy's stats are based on the Shackleman from the Slavers Guild. He's also equipped with the hazard suit, so he does have a 6-up armor save, also makes immunity to Ravage as well as Blaze, and so that's going to make him a little bit more survivable. He's also got a harpoon launcher, and the reason why he's got that is represents the fact he's got to rocket around the air vents and basically grapple hook his way across the air vents and things like that, or grab things that are floating around in order to make sure they can, take care of that for his job. He's also got a pole arm, which is a close combat weapon as well, so the idea is supposed to be that the pole arm would have like a hook on the end that we can grab things and pull him closer to him if he's floating around the air, that kind of thing. He's also got a cult icon because every single guild factotum does have a cult icon, so that will help him with larger group activations, either with the Zephs, which make up the bodyguard of this delegation, or with other fighters if you decide to make this into an outcast gang as well. He's also got a respirator to represent the fact that he's all about using air quality, and he's got the bulging bicep skill, so that way you can wield that pole arm in a single hand, and of course if you want to make him to an outcast champion, he can actually get another weapon to use alongside with his pole arm, so just kind of open up some possibilities for it. The idea is this guy's supposed to be a big, huge, strong, kind of like longshoreman type character that pretty much works in the sky docks of Necromunda. So let's talk about the bodyguards for this delegation, and they're the Zephs. These are the creatures that are mentioned earlier in the narrative as well. I based these guys' rules off of Ripperjacks from the Book of the Outlands, so that's pretty much where I got my inspiration from for these guys. These guys cost 80 credits apiece, and here are their stats. They have 7-inch movement, 4+ weapon skill, 6+ ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 3+ for initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership, 7 cool, 8 willpower, as well as 8 intelligence. Now for their primary skills, they have ferocity as well as their primary, as well as combat as their secondary skill. They do come with the flight special rule, and they're also packing teeth, which are the exact same rules for the Ripperjacks. And they have a couple of special rules attached to them. First of all, we have the Pack Hunter special rule, which means a Zeph can assist other fighters and gain the benefits of an assist as well. And the reason why is because the Zephs are used as interrogation tools by the Zepherman, as mentioned in the lore before, plus the idea they kind of carry these guys around in small packs to attack oxygen thieves, so that's pretty much the idea that I had to go for that. And then we also have another special rule called Air Thieves, and it talks about like how for every enemy fighter that a Zeph takes out of action, the Zeph either removes all of its flesh wounds, so that's one effect, or heals one wound that it lost earlier, or adds +1 to its wound characteristic. Now the idea behind this rule, of course, is that in the lore it says that the Zephs, they grow larger in size as they basically take out enemies, and that's what this game mechanic is actually designed to do. As opposed to either remove any flesh wounds that the Zephs might have gotten for themselves, or heal a wound they might have lost earlier in the battle, or they get +1 to the wound characteristics to make it a little bit more tough. And this kind of depends on how you want to use these guys in order to do that, and what kind of way you want to use these in your delegation. Now you will have 2 of these Zephs in your delegations. You have 1 Zepherman, 1 Aero-Loader, as well as 2 Zephs, and the 2 Zephs make up your bodyguards. And lastly, let's talk about the delegation special rule, which is called Zeph Packs. And it says, when added to a gang or at the start of a post-battle action step of the post-battle sequence, if a Zepherman has fewer than 3 Zephs, they may be purchased additional Zephs at the cost shown below. So each Zeph costs 80 credits. So you automatically start with 2. As the campaign develops, you want to buy a 3rd one for your gang, you can do so. The max amount you can have is 3 Zephs in your gang. And it says, in addition, any Zephs belonging to the Zepherman must always try to remain within 6 inches of its owner rather than usual 3. So for example, if you have 3 Zephs, they got to be within 6 inches of the Zepherman for it to basically follow the exotic beast rules. It should also be mentioned too, when I actually make these guys into an outcast gang, that the Zephs will actually act as Gang Fighter X rules, so you can use that for your outcast gangs later on, but I'll talk about that more in detail when my actual rules for the outcast gang from this guild is made later on. So in conclusion, I thought this would be a fun way to spice up the guild alliance system for your games on Necromunda. It's kind of interesting because they actually mentioned these two guilds in the Book of Peril, the Air Guild as well as the Electro Guild, but they actually didn't give me any official rules at all, so I just thought it'd be kind of fun to actually make my own. And as like I mentioned up earlier, I am actually planning on making a Necromunda narrative campaign called Necromunda Monopoly, where the entire campaign setting is based on the 8 different merchant guilds fighting for control of a newly discovered region of the Underhive. So that's what the gangs that you'll be fighting with is all from the guild. So I thought it'd be kind of a fun way to make this guild available for players as well. And like I said before, I will make an Outcast gang with this Air Guild Alliance rule system. And when that video comes out, of course, I will inform you of it when it comes up on my channel. So if you want to see that Outcast gang rule or any of the rules I'm actually coming up with for my Necromunda Monopoly rule campaign, please subscribe to the channel so that way you get up-to-date notice about everything that's going on with this project. So that's good for those of you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all that's greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this video, you guys. I will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.